Hey there, Marson, is it? Please forgive me for this. It takes me a while to remember the names correctly. Anyway, I have learned that you are struggling with this class, and you have reached out to me for help. Lucky for you, I've learned a few things myself, and would love to share my advice on how to finish this class with a good grade. So, first things first, I will tell you now that in due time, and by due time, I mean when you're in school and or college, you will receive a piece of paper from your teacher to use as notes. These notes are specifically called Cornell notes. They may look confusing at first, but I have found some key tips on how to use them. First, on the top part, there is a box called topic/objective. You would want to write down what the lesson is about. Next to that, there are three more boxes, with the first one being name, the second one being class/period, and the last being date. By now, it's kind of like writing an assignment. You would want to write down your name, the class that you're currently in, and the date of the day that you turned it in. At the bottom, there are four more boxes that are different from each other. Yes, I said four more boxes. Please forgive me on this as well. For the essential question box, you would write down what the lesson mainly talks about. For the big ideas/questions box, you would want to write down key facts that are listed throughout the lesson. For the notes box, you can either draw or write small notes that are mainly discussed in the lesson. For the final box called summary, you would write down a 2-sentence summary about the lesson. Whew. Now that was a mouthful. But I ain't gonna stop there. Let's talk about your mind. Yes, I'm talking about your mind. Now, you have to admit that you've been through a time where you would say, I can't do it. This is going to take forever for me to finish up. Funny thing about that, you can. Because there is a little thing that I learned called regeneration. You may or may not know this, but the meaning of the word is, and I quote, when you force yourself to come up with an answer without looking at your notes or any clues. This is probably going to sound hard, but over time, you learn that it's valuable. In fact, regeneration is not only a term, but also a process that can be done in multiple ways. You can do this by creating a standing desk. You can do this by drawing in some rather weird places. You can do this by playing games, using flashcards, exercising, and using a mnemonic. Now, a mnemonic, and please don't get me wrong on this. I'm saying mnemonic, not demonic. A mnemonic is a small memory device that relies on words, images, pictures, sounds, or any form of remembering what you learned. Regeneration is very important, so I suggest that you use it wisely and carefully. Now, having said that about there being notes, there is actually one more piece of the noting puzzle that I've also learned. That piece is called a scouting report. Usually you would not seem like you need it, but you do. This helps you write down your goals for a specific class, your mistakes on the last class, and how you can fix it. This is valuable to anyone, from the famous works of J.K. Rowling to the very age of a middle schooler. And this is coming from an experience considering the fact that I have a middle schooler right behind me sitting on the couch. Anyone who has a specific goal for being successful in that class may probably know on how to use a scouting report. Also, when you have a lot of stuff and you have one file that you need for your next class, get rid of the stuff that you don't need and put the file you need in its rightful place every time once you're done. Finally, there is your grading skills. You probably don't know this by now, but the last lessons that I've learned in this class are 3 things. 1, treat your teachers with respect, and they will respect you and help you when needed. This is actually valuable. Please keep this in mind. 2, you can calculate your GPA or grade point average by by taking 3 easy steps that I'll reveal momentarily. And 3, you will have to show up every day, do your best, turn in every assignment, and be respectful to both teachers and classmates alike. Now, when calculating your GPA, you have to 1, find your scale. This means that you have to find out how many points you get for each grade in your school. 2, score your grades. If you already know what your points are for each grade, add that many points for each class. 3, do the math. Once you've added all that up, divide the total number of points by how many classes there are. Now, this is all that I've learned. I can tell you now that when you follow my advice, and while taking carefully and slowly without hasting, then I believe that you'll do great. I believe that you will do great. Now, there is a little more that I would discuss to you about, but I actually have not eaten lunch yet, and the stomach ain't gonna feed itself. So, if you'll excuse me. Seriously?